Ryan comes to put his daughter Mia to bed. She shows him a Thug Life poster she created for him, and Ryan knows Uncle Tyler had something to do with this. Mia asks a very important question: why is The Lion King considered a live action, if there are no people and CGI animals? Ryan tells her she is too smart for her own good and has to debate with her for her to go to bed. The two say their goodnight, and he tells her, "Good night, butterfly." We then see a brutal scene where Mia is found unalived in bushes a distance from the home. Detective Ivy Hammett breaks the news to the devastated family, and soon after, the funeral gathering is held at the home where the extended family gives their condolences. Ryan tries and fails to get answers from Hammett, and his wife begins to spiral out of control, falling into a deep depression. One day, Ryan goes for a walk with his German Shepherd, who seems unnaturally interested in a neighbor's home, making Ryan suspicious. He grabs his camera and returns to the home that night, snapping pictures of a strange man, and sees him with a butterfly hairpin too similar to Mia's. Ryan calls Detective Hammett, telling her about his suspicions, but when she speaks to the man, Stan Granger, they find no evidence of the butterfly. Ryan is livid as he knows what he saw, but Hammett thinks he might have been mistaken as it was dark and a distance off. Ryan is adamant that he is not crazy, but Hammett tells him accusing someone requires real evidence. She reminds him it is her job to find the killer and suggests that the couple take grief counseling in the meantime. Ryan is convinced that Stan had something to do with Mia, but Jess tells him to stop as nothing he does can bring Mia back. The following day, Jess gets her friend to help her pack her things and leave before Ryan even wakes. He calls for her, but soon sees a note left on the kitchen table explaining her feelings and decision. For a second, Ryan considers calling the therapist, but realizing that he has now lost everything, he must get his revenge. Ryan gets a small isolated apartment, that the landlord says not even he visits. He is worried that Ryan would be up to no good, but Ryan reassures him with more cash, and he takes it and leaves. Ryan begins staking out Stan's home and following him around on his daily routines. His white kidnapper van does not help his case either. Ryan then goes to visit Tyler and takes him back to the small apartment he got. The two brothers try to keep the conversation lighthearted at first, but Tyler realizes that something is up, as Ryan has explained he got this apartment to do what he has to do. Ryan shows Tyler the photos and info he collected on Stan and wants Tyler to get him a gun. To even consider what Ryan is planning to do, Tyler has to down a bottle of wine. Tyler scolds Ryan for not having a good plan, as just marching into Stan's home and shooting him dead won't end well for him. Ryan can see no other way, as he cannot just allow Mia's killer to be walking free while he is tormented. Tyler thinks long and hard, then decides that he is in. Ryan returns to Stan's home but sees he has now closed all of his blinds. As he is heading back, he sees Tyler waiting in a van nearby and goes inside. Tyler makes him confirm one more time that Stan is the killer, then they begin to make plans. They plan to make Stan appear to just leave town, planning a train ticket in his home, then making additional plans on where to properly dispose of the body. Tyler agrees to get Ryan the gun, but only under the condition that he gets to take part in the plan, as Mia was his goddaughter, and the only way Ryan will have a normal life after this is if he gets help. The following night the two ready themselves, and Tyler hands Ryan a gun. Inside, Stan is just sitting over a glass of milk. Tyler begins banging the trash can outside, and when Stan eventually comes to check things out, Tyler knocks him out. They bring an unconscious Stan down to his own basement, then cover the walls with plastic sheets, then sit Stan in a chair and bound his arms. Stan eventually awakens and recognizes Ryan, but denies being a killer. Ryan tells him about the butterfly hairpin he saw in Stan's hands that night, but he also denies it, recalling how he allowed the cops to search his home, but they never found anything because he is innocent. Despite his pleading, Ryan does not believe a word. Detective Hammett gets a call and rushes out. Meanwhile, Ryan is beating the living snot out of Stan, demanding that he confess to the killing, but he still denies it. Ryan has even injured his hand but can feel that Stan will break anytime soon. Detective Hammett goes to meet with two other cops in the woods and is brought to the scene of another crime. She makes a call to get traffic cam footage nearby, hoping to catch sight of the culprit. Meanwhile, Ryan recalls to Stan that he saw him purchasing children's vitamins and stuffed toys, but Stan explains that he has a niece who just turned 3 and the toys were for her, while he claims to like taking the children's vitamins over adult ones. Ryan does not believe a word and shows him a book about bonding with captors that was also found in his apartment. Stan breaks down in tears, but Ryan tells him to shut up and stop talking, threatening to shoot him. Stan yells out that it happened to him, and a confused Ryan lowers his weapon, wanting Stan to explain further. Meanwhile, Detective Hammett is reviewing the security footage when she spots a familiar van and pulls out her notes. It turns out that Stan also had his daughter taken from him, and Ryan begins to second-guess himself, but Tyler warns him it's too late to back out as the minimum sentence for kidnapping is 20 years. Ryan still wants to be certain he has the right man and is determined to find Mia's butterfly hairpin. Meanwhile, Tyler pulls his knife on Stan, telling him he will die tonight but promises to make it quick if he confesses to his crimes. Stan asks if he believes in God and gives a long speech about his innocence, but Tyler just smirks at him. Meanwhile, Ryan, who is searching around, hears Stan scream out and comes to see him with a knife stuck in his leg. Ryan tells Tyler to back off a bit, as he is not ready to kill Stan. All this time, Hammett has been sitting outside the home observing. She approaches the home and heads to the garage, seeing Stan's van inside. She calls for him at the door, and while Ryan approaches cautiously, Tyler knocks Stan out. Not hearing anyone, Hammett goes to the back door, but Stan has locked it, so Hammett eventually leaves. Ryan explains who she is to Tyler and wonders if she finally found some dirt on Stan. Ryan wants to find out, but despite Tyler telling him it's a bad idea, Ryan is determined to reach out to Hammett, citing they have plenty of time. Ryan calls Hammett wanting to know more about the case. She refuses to say, but Ryan claims he has info on Stan. Hearing this, Hammett decides to stop by Ryan's home in a few minutes. Hearing this, Ryan rushes from the house to a disappointed Tyler. Ryan gets home just in time to open the door for Hammett. He asks again about Mia's case, but Hammett tells him they have no new evidence that would implicate Stan and wants to know what information Ryan has for her. Ryan then shows her the collection of pictures he gathered of Stan, and Hammett seems interested. She then reveals that Stan might be a suspect in the missing persons case and then drops hints to Ryan that she wants to confirm if Stan's van has been freshly repainted. Hammett leaves, and Ryan pulls up the news reports of the most recent case where a girl has gone missing. Hammett goes to report to her superior about her suspicions that Stan could be involved in the most recent case, but her boss wants more evidence. Ryan returns to Stan's place and shows him the video on the most recent case. Ryan goes to inspect Stan's van and finds evidence that it was repainted. Ryan realizes that Stan closed all his blinds the same day the girl went missing. Tyler wants to kill Stan right away, but Ryan wants more time to be able to get Stan to confess. Ryan sends a text to Hammett about the repainted van and urges Tyler to leave as the cops could turn up any minute. Tyler refuses, grabs a hammer, and goes to confront Stan about all the mounting evidence against him, but Stan explains he painted his van to prevent rust and had nothing to do with any of the girls. Neither Tyler nor Ryan believes a word he is saying, so they remove his shoes and Tyler smashes his foot with the hammer. Stan is in pain but starts quoting Bible verses while Tyler screams at him. The two brothers step away. Tyler thinks they are trapped as they cannot break Stan and neither can kill him at this point, as Ryan wants to help and find the missing girl. He again urges Tyler to leave, apologizing for dragging his brother into his mess, but Tyler takes responsibility as well and refuses to leave his brother's side. The two then laugh at the fact that they are just sitting ducks waiting on their prison sentences. Hammett wakes to see the text from Ryan and rushes from the apartment. Tyler accidentally activates a trapdoor beneath a desk, where he finds a case filled with girls' hair clips and finds Mia's butterfly hair clip. Ryan rushes over, and seeing the hair clip, both he and Tyler break down in tears. There is also a book filled with pictures of Mia and other girls. Ryan almost chokes the life out of Stan, but Tyler stops him. Stan begins to rant on about how he is just doing what the Lord wants and that he cannot help himself as he was created this way. The two brothers calm themselves down, reassuring each other that they finally caught Stan. They need to call 911 to help with finding the still missing girl, and Tyler goes to remove the plastics from the walls. Stan then tells Ryan that he can take them to the missing girl, but only them two, and if they get the cops involved, then he will stop helping. Stan cannot stand the thought of spending the rest of his life in prison with therapists probing his mind and wants to exchange the life of the missing girl for a quick lights out. The brothers go to contemplate their answer. Ryan now thinks contacting the cops would be a bad idea if they wished to save the girl's life. They bound Stan and put him inside his own van, warning him to keep his promise. They drive out in the van, unaware that Hammett had already pulled up and is following them. In the van, Stan confesses to ending 5 other little people and cannot understand the basic emotions that Ryan or the other parents are feeling. Stan begins to rant about overpopulation and claims that a few missing people here and there cannot compare to the vast problems facing the human race. Stan leads them to a rundown house in an old neighborhood, telling them that the missing girl is upstairs. They hold him at gunpoint and lead him up the stairs of the dark home, and outside, Hammett approaches the house cautiously. Stan leads the brothers to the supposed room where Clara is being held, with Tyler holding the gun on him. They order him to turn on the light, but Stan turns on a floodlight, attacks Tyler, and then manages to push Ryan out of a boarded-up window. He then knocks out a dazed Tyler with a pipe and frees himself. Outside, Hammett hears the commotion and pulls her gun. Stan hears her trying to enter the home and aims his gun at the front door. As Hammett enters, Stan manages to shoot her, dropping her. Ryan hears Mia's voice telling him to get up, and he opens his eyes. He enters the home and attacks Stan after he has run out of bullets. The two fight, but Stan manages to get the upper hand and tries choking Ryan out, but Ryan frees himself. Tyler also begins to attack Stan, but Stan stabs him multiple times. He is about to end Tyler when Ryan tackles him, ultimately impaling and killing Stan on a piece of wood. Ryan realizes that Hammett is still alive, and the brothers rush with her to the hospital. Tyler then remembers that there used to be a bathroom in the basement of the house Stan now lives in, which they didn't see while there. They rush back to the home, where they find a false wall in the basement and begin to rip it apart. Inside, they find the small missing girl, and Ryan takes her from the room. She awakens, calling for her father, and Ryan breaks down in tears as memories of Mia come rushing back to him. Hammett manages to make her way into the house and is shocked to see Ryan cradling the missing girl. Afterwards, the brothers are taken into interrogation, where they are congratulated by Hammett and her boss. When the boss leaves, Hammett tells them she will contact them later to get their stories aligned before creating her report. As they leave, Ryan runs into Jess, and the two embrace in tears. Days later, the brothers are still haunted by the traumatic experience they had. The two call each other to check in, noting how they don't feel like the heroes the press is claiming them to be. The next day, Ryan wakes and is calling for Jess when he sees a note, and it turns out that Jess is pregnant. Ryan goes to Mia's room to finally say his goodbyes to her, finally telling her goodbye, butterfly.